Okay, so on today's episode, I'm here over in, where are we? We're in Ashton.
We're in Ashton-Under-Lyne.
We're in Ashton-Under-Lyne. I'm here to speak to my old pal, Steve Connaghan, at RetroFit, owner and creator of RetroFit Thameside. Hi, Steve. So me and Steve haven't seen each other since 2013. The last time we saw each other, I was working on a stand at Body Power, and Steve came along. Remember that day?
Certainly do.
Remember that day well because we were supervising some kid who was doing like muscle ups, and the guy fell off the top rung of the. How high would you say he was at the time?
Oh, at least 9 feet.
9 feet high. So he's done a muscle up like this and fell off the back of the thing and gone boom, clapped on the floor, dislocated his shoulder, and had an all-round bad day actually. That was the last time we saw each other, but the first time we met was around 2006, was it?
Yes.
2006, 2007?
Yeah.
Something like that, I remember. Yeah. So let's just have a little bit of your background in fitness. How did you get into fitness in the beginning?
Fitness as a career or fitness?
Fitness as, what you enjoyed growing up, training-wise.
Did a very broad range of stuff when I was a kid. Cycling, track and field, running, cross-country, football, 6-a-side, 11-a-side, a little bit of rugby, tiny bit of judo, and then I got into martial arts, Thai martial arts from 17 onwards. Which was the glory days really for Muay Thai, was it, would you say? Back in the day, all the guys came over to Manchester, didn't they? Sken, Master A. Very much the case, yeah. And it's only with hindsight you realise how privileged we were to spend time under the tutelage of people like Sken, Master A, Master Woody, Master Toddy.
And you were a student of?
Originally, I'm a student, I still am a student of Tony Moore at Sitsayam Camp, which was under the
Sitsayam Camp, yeah.
The Sitnarong Master Sken school. But Tony moved away in the late 80s, which was, a massive risk, but it paid dividends, for backstreet kids like me who got to see a bit of the world.
Yeah.
And do things that, that were quite incredible, really, at the time.
Yeah. You're not talking about lady boys, are you?
No.
You competed in that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had 21 fights, fought 3 Thais, fought in Europe, fought in the Far East, fought in the States. Yeah.
I remember you brought some photographs in, and you were in good nick then. Back then, weren't you? Really good nick. I mean, you don't come across a Thai boxer that's not in good nick, really.
Well, you don't. It's a tough sport.
Yeah.
And conditioning-wise.
Yeah. There's nothing that really comes close, is there?
Not really. Just ridiculously fit.
Yeah.
You just had to be.
So moving on from that, you end up working. You're still doing that sort of stuff. But what did you do for a job before you became a personal trainer?
I was in fresh food, particularly retail. I had a couple of retail outlets in greengrocery.
Yeah.
So that started in the mid-90s.
How long were you doing that for?
12, 13 years.
12 or 13 years as a greengrocer, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then, right, fast forward on from that, you decide that you want a career in the fitness industry. Where did that come from?
Well, I was about 20 years later than I should have been. I should have stayed in fitness, just cracked on with the Thai and the Thai martial arts, and I should have stayed in it in hindsight, but I didn't. So I was coming up to my 40th birthday, and it was a case of do or die, really. It was a toss-up between becoming a school teacher and a personal trainer, so I think I picked the right one.
Yeah. I guess you picked the right one, because fast forward 10 years from now, here we are sat in your own personal training studio where you run group classes from RetroFit in Thameside. I remember back then, I was a bit younger, and I remember you coming to the gym. I was the actual first trainer in the gym that we worked at, and I remember you coming to the gym, and I remember you telling me what you'd done for the past 15 years, and you told me you had kids, you had a family, you had a mortgage, etc., etc. And I remember thinking, probably like a lot of people would have thought at the time, I remember thinking, what the fuck has this guy done? He's left the career that was paying his mortgage, he's a married man, etc., etc. You came into the industry at age 40. In hindsight now, I realise how difficult that must have been for you, and how brave you must have been to actually just bite the bullet and do it. Did you encounter any like barriers, or were people thinking the same as I was thinking at the time? Obviously now I don't think that. I think, wow, look what you've done, but at the time I was thinking, wow, what have you done,
Well, I asked myself that many times, particularly the first 18 months or so. While you're building something from nothing.
Yeah.
But I'd built several businesses from nothing in the past, so I had that in the tank, but there was still plenty of times, thousands of times, where I thought,
what have I done?
What have I done? Is this going to work? But I've got an incredible wife and an incredible family, and
massive support from them.
Huge support. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you encounter any people that were questioning what you'd done, and were there any barriers when it came to getting back
most
into
of them were self-imposed.
Yeah.
My own doubts. And I generally don't listen to other people because I'm such an arrogant tosser anyway. But like I said, those first couple of years were tough. Well, we got on our feet and got the ball rolling, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's down largely to my wife, who's my number one fan.
Yeah.
She has an awful lot to put up with. I'm not easy to live with at the best of times. But
Yeah.
it worked in the end.
Yeah, good man. It definitely did, because here we are sat in your private studio. What do you do here? Like, what happens here?
We have group training sessions which happen from 5:30 onwards, Monday to Friday. We have Saturday morning stuff. There's a couple of classes on Saturday morning, but the bulk of my work, so to speak, is private one-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three coaching.
Yeah, small group training. And one-to-one training.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about taking someone on to do stuff here while you're, so you can be training other people, etc.?
That comes into my thought process at least once a week.
Yeah.
But I'm such a crotchety old fucker that I would make their lives a nightmare.
Because you like things the way they are. It's your gym, it's your thing, yeah.
Yeah. I regularly think about that as a potential other income stream, but I don't think I could put somebody through having to be in the same space as me.
Yeah.
Because I am a real pain in the arse. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
So people when they train here, they get 1,600 square feet of, old school
I
gym.
like what you've done here. It is literally what it says outside, back to basics. It's, it's rings, it's punch bags, it's climbing nets. Look at that over there. It's awesome. Tyres, sleds, bands, a lot of resistant bands. And so you just kind of built this up over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. The kettlebells, I remember, the kettlebell stuff. We did some kettlebell work at Body Power, didn't we? With
We did
Steve
indeed.
Cotter, the
Steve
main man
Cotter,
when it comes to kettlebells.
Yeah.
And I remember off the back of that you created the Thai Kettlebell Club.
That's right, which still runs once a week on a Monday evening.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you still got people bang into kettlebells?
Yeah.
Because I know it was the kind of thing that came into the fitness industry and then kind of went again, you know. But it's still popular, is it? People still use those, yeah?
Kettlebells are like Marmite. You're either all over it or
Yeah.
you're not. And the people who get it, and those who don't, they just don't.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So you've opened up your studio, yeah? This place was, you were telling me before, it was, what was it before?
It's been around since 1852. It's always been some form of engineering shop.
So this would have been full of oil,
Yeah.
Metal.
Yeah.
It would have smelt like, a car garage or something like that,
that's
wouldn't
it.
it? Yeah.
It smelled like an inspection pit at a car
Yeah.
garage.
So you decided, you come along and you see this space and you think this is perfect. You walk in here, what do you think?
I think I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it took us, as well as running the previous personal training business in Oldham where we met,
Yeah.
I was spending every spare hour here cleaning the place up, project managing the work that was done on it to get it up to standard for the best part of...
Which you've already said your standards are quite
Yeah.
high, yeah?
Yeah, it took us 4 months and I did all the labouring to any of the tradesmen we had here, whether they were joiners, brickies, plasterers or whatever. I did the labouring where possible.
Yeah.
And this is what we ended up with.
Awesome. I mean, it's good to see such a success story, and from where you started off as well. You know, you coming into a gym where the vast majority of trainers, let's say they're under the age of 25. You walk into, you know, the gym, total career change at the age of 40. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 10 years, you've got your own studio and loving life. You've got your little mate here. The little mate's here. He's going to make an appearance right now, actually. Hello, you've got your little mate here playing fetch with us, and so you're busy on a weekly basis now.
Largely speaking, we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit quiet at this time of year because it's holidays, but that's the seasonality of this.
One thing I remember about you, Steve, is every time I spoke to you, I always corrected my posture. I don't even remember, but I'd be sat talking to you, having a brew back at JJB, I think it was at the time before it was DW, and I'd be sat next to you and I would instantly feel guilty about my posture, so I would square myself up a little bit, and it's what I always remember that about you. Like every time I think of Steve Connaghan, I think posture, which is a good thing, obviously. Only one thing you introduced me to back in the day was emotional freedom technique.
Yeah.
Do you remember where that came about? I know you told me there was a 80-page manual that you could download on the internet.
Yeah. I started to train a lady who was a Reiki specialist, who had a very long 30 plus years in the NHS as a state registered nurse, and then an advanced clinical practitioner and other things. And she mentioned it during a session, and she said, I think it would suit you.
Yeah.
So
Wait, it would suit you? Is this because you were struggling with breaking it into the fitness industry and stuff at the time, and you
Well, personally and professionally, that was her point. I think we all need help, at some point in our lives. And she saw something in me that maybe I didn't see. So I looked into it, and I got qualified. And then I took another certification. And it's not so much of part of my business at the moment, although it does have phases. Some people need help in certain areas. But it's something I still do daily, personally.
Yeah.
Along with meditation and other bits and pieces. And you know,
Has it led you into the world of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming
yeah,
as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that. So for people who don't know, emotional freedom technique is
like.
Would you say self? What's the word? What is that word? Self-therapy?
Yes, definitely.
A kind of self-help therapy, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
So picture this, we sat at JJBDW, whatever it was at the time, and I've corrected my posture. And Steve, I asked Steve about what it was he was doing when I saw him doing this tapping business. And do you know what? I've used it so much since. But at the time, I remember you sat me down and you said, I don't even remember, but you said, right, okay, so what is it that you want to try and get out? And I just, you know, said, I've got a fear of spiders or whatever. So I remember you sat there and you said, okay, so repeat after me. And you wrote it out for me on a sheet of paper. Repeat after me. But I've got to tap these points. Even though I have this deep-rooted fear of spiders, I forgive myself. Even though I have this deep-rooted fear of spiders, I accept myself. So I go around the whole meridians. It's linked to meridians, yeah. And I remember halfway through, I just spat my brew out, didn't I? And I was pissing my sides. Like I was like, I can't do it. It's too funny. But then fast forward, like, you know, maybe I was a bit naive back then, and probably I was a bit young to appreciate, you know, needing that kind of help in my life. But the first thing I wanted to do after I'd stopped laughing was test this theory that it actually did something. So we went into the studio and I was still trying to get in the splits, which I've been trying for about 15 years now. Then we went in the studio and we got a tape measure, measured from my gooch basically, yeah, to the floor, and then we did, even though, and it was the pain in the outer part of my hips that I was feeling, mm-hmm. And I swear I got an extra 7 centimeters down. I remember, because being from a scientific background, I wanted to test this theory, but I've used it so much, whether or not the tapping, mm-hmm. I use the speech, you know, mm-hmm. or I think it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you don't have to verbalise it, as long as you're thinking about it and you're present.
If you think that, therefore you are, mm-hmm. you know. And whether you believe it works or not, if you believe it works, then it works, you know. Whatever you believe to be true works mm-hmm. for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I remember that. That led me on to reading about neuro-linguistic programming, actually. I read quite, you know, the Richard Bandler, is he called? Yeah. Yeah. So you still use that kind of stuff to this day?
Yeah. A lot of what I do is through speech. Yeah. So it just sounds like a conversation, which it is, but...
Yeah. It's in there.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be built into, you know, normal conversation very, very easily. It's just practice, like every other human skill. Yeah. It's just practice it.
Yeah, and probably, like... What's the word I'm looking for? You know, humility, you know, appreciating other
empathy,
people.
Yeah, understanding. Yeah, absolutely.
And then on top of that, maybe in hindsight now looking back, you coming in as a 40-year-old trainer would have had way more of those kind of skills than me as a 23-year-old trainer at the time, or a 25-year-old trainer, whatever I was, purely because you've experienced more. Would you say that's true?
Very much so. And I've been dealing with the public for hundreds of members of the public every single day, year on year, and there's no stranger beast than, you know, Joe Public. So, you know, you learn through trial and error how to deal with people, how to talk to people, body language, you know, you learn how to read people. And you learn how to be aware and how you are coming across to somebody, and that just comes through experience. So, you know, even though I came into fitness very late, I had a solid skill set through my experience that, you know, that younger people haven't got.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about this before. I think I've heard Rick Moylan talk about it. You know, when you've got a kid there who's just done the 6-week PT course, he's 18 years old, he's fresh out of college, and he gets a 47-year-old woman who, you know, is on the verge of a breakdown. And how is he ever going to relate to anything that she's been through if he hasn't been through it himself, you know?
Yeah.
Would you say that's true?
There are people out there who, regardless of age, they're empathetic, they're understanding,
And they get it.
and they get it, but they're not usually as young as 18 years of age.
Yeah.
You know, an awful lot of our clients and members are 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus. My oldest client at the moment is 71 next January.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know, we attract, because I'm getting on a bit, you know, we tend to attract people who are, you know,
Getting
older.
on a bit,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
getting on a bit, you know. And
You must be a role model for them, because I remember you taking your top off at JJB and thinking, oh shit, this guy's shredded. Like, you really lean for your age, weren't you?
Yeah.
In great nick. Actually, thinking about it, you would have been 40 at the time, right? And now looking back, I will be 40 in 2 years, so hopefully I'll be like a similar condition to you were.
no, I think you're well under. I don't think you'll have any issues there, mate.
Yeah,
I might
well,
get-
it's 2 years, you know. I might
get
relax.
I might get my top off when I'm 50.
Ah,
so
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
But you know, I hope I'm a role model to people. But you know, as you get on, and what I've noticed with each anniversary, especially the big ones like 40, and I've got 50 coming up.
Milestones, yeah.
Yeah, these. I mean, they're just another day for me. But
Yeah,
what I've found is old injuries that have been sitting under the radar tend to turn up. And you think, you know, where's that come
Where's
from?
that nickel? Oh,
Yeah. And I seem to spend a lot more of my training time now restoring my body rather than hammering it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still train every day. I do something every day. Some of it's very low level, some of it's pretty tough, but you just don't recover the same,
No.
you know.
And I fully agree with you, I'm starting to feel things that, I'll give you for an example. I walked about probably 8 miles for charity once, and my missus, she was like, you know, always like 15 metres in front of me saying, come on. And I'm like, first of all, it started in my left hip, and I thought, I remember that. It was a kickboxing injury, you know. And maybe the wrong type of stretching, like static stretching back in the day before dynamic kicking, that kind of thing. And I remember that then it transferred to the knee, then it transferred to the ankle, and then I was considering getting a bus back, but I thought this is for charity, I've got to do it, you know.
The ego won't allow you to do that.
No.
You just got to suffer through.
So you're right on that, and I've noticed over the years you bang into your mobility stuff, and I guess, you know, that shows in your current form, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we build it into every single session.
Yeah.
Because with the best will in the world, even with all the information that's available now, over YouTube and social media and so on and so forth, we don't do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, we live, you know, if you're someone in the 40s and 50s, chances are you've got a family, you may have aging parents who need help as well. You're probably holding down a career, you're commuting to work. You've so many competing demands that, you know, doing your daily mobility for 10 or 12 minutes, it gets canned.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, crawling into bed at 11 o'clock at night and you think, oh, should have done my mobility. That's it, it's done.
Yeah,
it's
gone
not
out of the
happening
window,
yet.
yeah.
So it's part of every single session
Yeah.
that we do. All of it.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think I do quite a lot of mobility stuff now, but I also think that the weight training I do, I think this is one of the misconceptions in the fitness industry, that bodybuilding or weightlifting makes you immobile. But if done properly, I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
You know,
No.
everything I do, I'm taking to full range of motion.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
weighted exercises, and actually feeling a stretch in the muscle,
Mm-hmm.
but under load. So that's to me is making the muscle stronger at the end of range of motion.
Absolutely.
Which is the whole point,
Yeah,
isn't it?
we do 2 adult gymnastics classes, gymnastics strength, a week, and there's an awful lot of weighted mobility in it.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous. When it's done correctly, slowly, controlled, measured, it's fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, you know, where was this 25 years ago?
Well, it wasn't anyway.
Where it wasn't.
I was speaking to Stuart Ogden, who we both know,
Yeah.
the other day, which I'll be posting soon. I remember speaking to him, and he said that he'd been. I asked him the question, "What am I going to do to get rid of this last little bit? What ab exercises can I do?" And to which he tutted and responded with, "Well, you know, no amount of ab exercises is going to do anything for the fat that lies on top of the muscle." He said, as I found out the other day when I went kickboxing and they had me doing 30 minutes of leg raises, to which he replied, I don't feel anything in my abs. I just feel it in my
And the
psoas
hip
muscle.
flexors,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
old school training again,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's still out there. It's still out
It
there.
is still out there.
Yeah.
Hold your legs out for 30 seconds, then
Yeah.
paddling the feet like that, you know, just
Yeah.
absolutely twanging that
Yeah.
psoas muscle there. Which
Right.
is one of the big ones for lower back pain, isn't it?
Big time,
Yeah.
big time.
So who are the guys that you look up to and read from, you know, to get the information to pass on to your clients? I know some of it will come from your own experiences, but who are the big boys that?
People who have been certified with over the years, like Steve Cotter,
Yeah.
Mike Marler, Christopher Sommer from
Mike Marler, the guy, the beast on the beach with the kettlebells.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to have his DVD. Yeah.
I've got 2 in
Yeah.
there, yeah. Steve Maxwell, hopefully I'll be able to, he's in Oldham this weekend.
Who's that?
Steve
Maxwell, right? Wow.
I mean, 63, 64 years of age, he's about 6% body fat, moves like a lizard,
Yeah.
really good role model, really
Yeah.
good role model. Rannick Donald, my mate from Edinburgh in Scotland, he's a fantastic barometer for finding out who's legitimate
Yeah.
in the industry.
Yeah. Which is a tough thing to
It
find
is,
nowadays, isn't it?
there's so many charlatans and
Yeah.
you know stuff with no depth to it. But they're like my main ones. But I mean, I'm such a geek. I'm on T Nation every day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, breaking muscle every day. But you know,
It's got to be done
It's gotta be
because you've got to obviously pass that knowledge on to
yeah.
your clients, you know. I mean, that's the one thing that I think you're good at is continuous study, you know, over the years. I've seen your box up. I see all the qualifications on the filing cabinet there. You know, you've obviously kept everything up, and that's just being part of a responsible trainer, I think, is to keep your knowledge up to date.
You're investing in yourself so you can invest in your clients.
Yeah, so I remember speaking to Dave Riedel, he's the founder of HitStep, and I mentioned you in that one and said I would like to come and interview you for that point, and that being your tagline, invest in yourself. I like that. It is at the end of the day, isn't
You
it?
need to. You
Yeah.
know, you need to invest in yourself on every level.
So moving forward, what are your plans for the future? Are you cool? Are you set?
Just crack on doing what we're doing here. I have recently qualified with Precision Nutrition, their level 1 nutrition course.
Yeah. See that there, yeah.
Yeah, we've subsequently got
Who's the precision nutrition guy now?
Dr. John Berardi.
John Berardi. Now that guy's a beast, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
He's a 5%er, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. So they have a software system for a 12-month nutrition and lifestyle course. It is a curriculum. It's a full 12 months.
Yeah.
We've got a beta test group at the moment, which we're running through. Most of them are around about the 6-month mark, and we're getting good results with that. So potentially, we're looking at expanding that.
Yeah.
Which may also involve online training as well.
Yeah.
But we want to get everyone to 12 months, see what it looks like.
Test it first.
Yeah,
Find
absolutely.
your feet with it.
Correct. Yeah.
Before
we expand on that. So that's potentially where we might expand.
Yeah. Ah, brilliant. Well, you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I was looking forward to coming over and seeing you set up, because it's been how many years since I've seen you? 7 years or something? Well, it's mad that you can know someone for like a short period of time, and then I turn up here today and it's just like I've never left, isn't it? It's so weird.
Yeah.
But you only get that with some people, don't you? You know.